Welcome back to Sane-ish, the podcast for anyone who's ever looked at the news, sighed, and wonder if we're all just extras in a really dark reboot of The Twilight Zone. I'm Jo Carducci, and today, my dear friend, Majid Padellan, aka Dad Defiant, will join me to try to make some sense out of the chaos. But before he gets here, if you read my latest Substack, you know exactly where my head is at. ICE raids, National Guard, and now Marine deployments, and a certain haunted egghead who's made a career out of turning cruelty into policy. Stephen fucking Miller, or as I call him, a resentment barnacle in a funeral suit. In my latest Substack, I went all in on Stephen Miller because, frankly, sometimes you have to roast the monsters just to keep your soul intact. I called him a policy arsonist, a beige golem in business casual, and a sleep paralysis demon in wingtips. But underneath all the jokes, there's a real point. The cruelty is relentless, and if we don't laugh, we'll drown. But here's the thing. As relentless as the outrage is, I refuse to let it crush my sense of humor because when the house is on fire, sometimes the only way to breathe is to laugh loudly, hysterically, and with zero apologies. That's how we survive. That's how we fight back. Before we jump in with Majid, a quick reminder. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, rate, and review Sane-ish wherever you get your podcasts. Share it with your friends, your group chats, your rage text threads, your Signal top secret chats. Let's grow this community of people who refuse to let the monsters win. And don't forget to follow me on Substack and YouTube for more rants, receipts, and sanity-saving nonsense. Today's guest is Majid Padellan, better known as Dad Defiant. He's an author, activist, and one of the most influential progressive voices on social media. With nearly 2 million followers across platforms, Majid has built a loyal community by blending sharp political commentary, relentless advocacy, and a healthy dose of humor. He's the author of the satirical illustrated books The Littlest President and The Bigliest Loser, and whether he's skewering MAGA hypocrisy, amplifying calls for justice, or just making the internet a little bit more bearable, Majid's mission is simple. Speak truth, fight cruelty, and never let the bastards steal your joy. And with that, here's my conversation with Majid. I am so excited because I am joined by my dear friend, Majid Padellan. As you probably know, Dad Defiant on the Sane-ish podcast. This is your first appearance on my all-new podcast. I just saw you, we can get into that in a minute, on a different call. But welcome to Sane-ish, Majid. Brooklyn, how are you?
Thank you for having me, Joe. I think I feel sane-ish.
that look. He's like a record scratch or like a extreme close-up where it's just with the wall, like Austin Powers. It's like, you know,
more like the Office, because I've been like binge rewatching episodes of The Office because it gives me the ha-has, and they do a lot of those zoom ins for comedic effect. Yeah,
I mean, the Jim face is like a classic, and it was really funny when the new Canadian PM was in the Oval Office and it was just all Jim face. It was just what else are you gonna do? You're just sitting there surrounded by this fucking toddler in Saddam's Timu palace. It's just like, what is happening?
Every day a new embarrassment.
Truly. And let's talk about, you and I were just talking about this. There was another, he loves to hold court in the Oval with the gilded ceilings and the gold-plated this and the gold-plated that. By the way, he got the people, whoever it is that decorated, got a lot of those at friggin' Home Depot and then spray them. I swear to God, they spray painted them gold. Like the cherubs and shit. I don't know if you know, there's cherubs, golden cherubs, and like the golden lattice or whatever that is on the fireplace. And they're digging up the rose garden today. Yeah, they're turning it into a putting green. No. I think they want to put make it a patio. I swear to God. They want to turn the Oval Office, the rose garden, they want it to look more like Mar-a-Lago. They want it to be more like a patio. The rose garden.
I don't want to panic your listeners, but that to me sounds like he is making himself comfortable for more than just a 4-year stay. Yeah. He asked me.
Yeah. Wow.
No, could be wrong, but I mean, if you're only going to be there for 4, why are you You know, why is he focused on that? Like, you know, people are wrestling with high prices, they're dealing with you know, the potential loss of Medicaid and Medicare, and this is what his focus is. It's ridiculous. It's insane.
Narcissistic sociopath, right? He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a shit about anything that actually pertains to the health and welfare of the American people. He just cares about vanity, his ego, and what makes him happy. So surrounding himself with gold and everything makes him feel very important, because he needs to be reminded that he has worth and value by physical objects, because deep in that like core, in that crypt of his, he knows that he is literally useless, worthless, stupid, evil, and no one likes him.
Can I tell you about a dream I just had?
Yeah.
This was like, so no, but it felt almost as good as. Let me tell you, it felt almost as good, because I don't normally, I haven't remembered my dreams in a very long time. This is like the first time in years that I could recall what I was dreaming about. And I was like, it was very real. So I was in the White House, right? And Donald Trump was giving a press conference, a briefing, right? He was in front of all the reporters. Somehow I was like in a balcony position behind him, right? This is so how my dream had this White House configured. I can't tell you, but what I can say is that I was within shouting distance, right?
Okay, sounds good so far.
And I shouted at him and everything went quiet. I shouted at him, "How dare you brag about your possessions and your wealth when people are struggling to survive? How can the rest of you stand in front of him quiet?" And then they came and grabbed me. But I was being led out in handcuffs, but I was like proud as ever. And then I woke up.
But I mean, it's very telling that that's your dream, because think of what what your subconscious is telling you, that you want to do something about what he's doing to other people, and you want to use your voice to do that. And that's really who you are. Like, that's what you do. So your subconscious is like, yeah, these are my priorities. And also to hold him accountable to his fucking face.
Yeah. Yeah. It drives me insane that our legacy media has normalized him to the point where they're sitting in these insane press briefings where he's repeating he repeated the other day that Hitler gave a speech in front of the Eiffel Tower. That never happened. And so many things like that. And they continue to report on him as though he is sane, as though all of this is normal. They're taking dictation from him instead of actually pushing back. So the result is, like, because I'm watching this on TV, the result is, without a commentator cutting in to say, that's a lie. You know, we could use that. We could have used that going back to 2016 because his lies are so predictable. You know, like I watched him the other day tell the lie about the $1.98 gas. Where is gas at $1.98? Can we get one reporter saying, Mr. President, you said gas is $1.98. Where is it? Can we get one reporter with the cojones to do that? The other day we saw, what's his face? Terry Moran got suspended by ABC for calling Stephen Miller. What did he call him?
Well, he said he was hateful. And he did make a reference to bile. But like Carolyn Levitt, being the fucking idiot that she is, thought he said vile, even though it was literally the word bile. I wrote a whole Substack about it. But yeah. He got suspended by ABC, who keeps bending the fucking knee. And I am saucy today. Sorry with all the F-bombs, but not sorry. But yeah, because he said the truth. He said the truth. The architect of the child separation policy, the person who is responsible for sending ICE to that Home Depot parking lot, to those schools, to car pickup lines, to hospitals, to high schools, because that's hateful. He called it hateful, and ABC suspended him. But no, there's no pushback. Oh my God, Brooklyn, there's no pushback. So much so that he said yesterday that he sent so much water Gavin didn't want to California during the wildfires. They had so much water they didn't know what to do with it. Well, the water he's talking about, by the way, is water that he forced them to release that flooded downstream farmland and depleted their supply for fire season, because those fires were already largely out. So he did a disservice to the people of California. And then today, just to go back to Gavin Newsom, who I want to jump in about, because we got to talk about California. We have to talk about a lot of that shit that's going on in LA. He said in the Oval Office less than 2 hours ago that he spoke with Gavin Newsom a day ago. Said, called him up to tell him, got to do a better job. He's doing a bad job, causing a lot of death and potential death. And Gavin says there was no call, not even a voicemail. Americans should be alarmed that a president is deploying Marines onto our streets, and he doesn't even know who he's talking to. And they provided receipts, the call logs to the office of Gavin Newsom and his cell phone. No call from teeny hands Trump. So he just lies. And guess what? You're right. No one pushes back. What are they doing? What are they doing?
I do like that that Gavin has shown some fire, some gumption in dealing with him. The other day he said that Trump never mentioned anything about sending the National Guard. Went during their 20-minute discussion. I think it was, did he say Friday night or Saturday? I think it was Friday night, he said. Yeah, he said it was like 1:30 in the morning, and never said a word about it. And I believe Gavin Newsom, because Gavin Newsom is not on record of having told 30,000 lies.
No, eggs are not 400% less expensive, you stupid shithead. People are paying me $50 every time I go to the store and take home a dozen eggs. Then your math isn't mathing, but nobody pushes back. And it's like, it is. You just sit there and you just internally scream, because you're like, I know how easy it would be for you to say, this is not true. Like, I just don't understand it. So let's talk about what's not true, because they're very adept at spinning narratives and propaganda related to lots of things. But right now, where they're really having a lot of success is in painting what is happening in Los Angeles as some insurrectionist, riotous, calamitous, widespread, citywide bloodbath. You and I and everybody watching and listening knows that is not true.
Yeah. Also, the lie that if we hadn't intervened, if we hadn't sent the National Guard, Los Angeles would be burning. Everything would be burning. There would be so much death. And that's not the case at all. The case is that long before a single member of the National Guard arrived, these protests were already they were already petering out. Fewer people were attending. All the drama had gone poof. And you know what those National Guard folks are guarding?
Yeah.
2 federal buildings. That's it.
Yep.
2 federal buildings. It's not like they're going street to street,
No, but Majid, tell our audience what the price tag is for them to guard those 2 buildings. Won't you?
Oh, I don't know. Do you know?
It's
got to be in the millions, right?
$134 million for 60 days.
No.
$134 million. We don't have money for pediatric cancer research. We don't have money to keep our veterans alive. We don't have money to make sure that our milk and our chicken and our water and our air and our airplanes are safe. But we have $134 million for dictator cosplay in Los Angeles. We have money for that. And we have $100 million for the Small in the Pants parade to roll through the streets of Washington, D.C., just destroying infrastructure there. Because guess what? Tanks were not supposed to be rolling down Pennsylvania Avenue. That's just a fever dream of a feral fucking possum. But here we are. So hundreds of millions of dollars so he can play dictator.
The 60 days really drives me bonkers. I heard Pete Hegseth announced during a House committee hearing today that that the military will be deployed there for 60 days. And I'm like, why? Mm-hmm. What is the point? Mm-hmm. Like, it's almost like, you know, when you're trying to open up a pickle jar, right? Mm-hmm. Right. And then finally you get that pop when you know it's open, right? And then somebody snatches it out of your hands, right? After you got the pop, they snatch it out of your hands and look, I've gotten it open. Your guys showed up after the situation was quelled. Mm-hmm. And now you're going to have them sit there for 60 days for what?
Well,
the 99% of Los Angeles is going about their business. They don't even know, aside from what they've seen on TV, they don't even know that a protest was happening. It's not like, you know, it's not like traffic was affected. You know, they weren't like snarled traffic all over the place. It's like just protest, just quiet. Yeah, mostly.
Yeah,
they had some cars burning, those Waymo cars. You heard about that?
Yeah, and it doesn't help matters, but anybody who exists under some pretense where Donald Trump wants public safety. I would like to take you back in time to that not so distant past where, you know, he was golfing when thousands of Americans were dying a day and told Jonathan Swan, it is what it is. This guy does not care about safety. He's not doing this. He's not sending our Marines to Los Angeles because he wants to keep the peace. He's sending the Marines because what he wants, what he's hoping for, if you ask me, is violence that will benefit him in some way. If somebody attacks a Marine, if we lose a Marine to what is not a violent protest in some random act that is insane or, God forbid, perpetuated by some, you know, paid person who paid agitator or who knows. We've seen this before. We saw it with the Black Lives Matter protests, and that the guy, what was he called? The guy was showing up and all black, and we've seen them do this where they have put in their own people.
Umbrella Man.
Thank you. Yeah. We've seen him do it. This is a playbook. So what he wants, I think, is for something like that to happen so that he can then snatch up more power, so that he can extend his reach into our states and cities even more so than he already is, especially the blue ones, because he said he's not stopping with Los Angeles. So I think he very much wants violence. And I think he's sending people to this, creating a tinderbox, hoping that will happen.
So this guy is from a background of fakery, going back to the days when he was calling up publicists as John Barron or what was it, David Dennison? You know, it was like making up these alter egos for fake names. So and then he was leaking like, oh, Donald Trump, yeah, they're saying he's really good in bed, and oh, the sexual prowess. Like, so he's from that background, right? And then when he was doing the Apprentice shows, he had that guy Mark Burnett who like produced the thing and made him look like he was competent and made him look like he was not a complete fucking idiot. You know? Oh wait, I'm sorry. Can I
You're having many F-bombs I launched in the beginning? Yeah, no. Please feel free to let him fly. I don't know if it's encouraged, but it's also me and you keeping it real. You know, you got Jersey and New York in the house, so let's see, but yeah.
Yeah. So and then we have the mysteriously healing ear, you know, that supposedly was struck by a bullet from an AR-15. I'm sorry, I can't buy it. I'm not even going to pretend that I believe that was a real thing, because I don't. So my concernicus is that he is all about the fakery. What's to stop him or someone on his team orchestrating what is known as a false flag event in which our own troops, our own National Guardsmen or Marines are attacked either by, Molotov cocktail or whatever, some kind of random thing that creates the pretext for him to lock shit down with martial law. And then it happens to coincide with national protests happening, right? Because we have this weekend, we have national protests happening. I look at these things like a conspiracy theorist. God help me.
You're not wrong.
But somebody has got to think outside the box. Somebody's got to imagine, like, what if someone was a real asshole and had no guilty conscience whatsoever? What would stop them from doing heinous things like that to achieve a certain end?
Again, I point to the fact that refrigerator trucks were piling up with the bodies of American citizens, and he was golfing. He doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit. And everything about him is fake, including the fact that he's fucking painted orange. I mean, the guy walks around in like nuclear grade deck stain, friends. Everything about him is false. It is fake. And our good friend Noel Castler, to your point about The Apprentice, and if you're not following Noel Castler, please do. Noel's also on Substack. He's a good friend. He's going to be on the show.
I love his stories.
Noel's so good. Noel, but side story on Noel, because Noel got me into a lot of trouble at the White House. We were in the executive office building for my first time ever being there, and we were talking to different people in the administration, and a gentleman came to talk to us, and his last name was Bader, and Noel's sitting next to me, comedian Noel Castler sitting next to me, and he goes,
"Oh no."
Yes, yes, he did. He said they called me masturbator. And I bust out laughing in this silent pin drop, very official, very, 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 very important room. And I just go, masturbator. Thank you, Noel. But Noel, that was, we were both there. But I don't remember that. I was sitting in the middle of the table.
I think that was the first time we met, actually, right? In person.
Actually, I think it was. Yes, it was one of our first paid shill events. But and then we took all those pictures where you were feeding me fried chicken on the couch, because there's 7,000 of those all over on the internet too. Our trolls love that. Yeah. But Noel was a booker on The Apprentice. He has all the tea. The diapers are true, according to Noel. But that his office was such a shit show. They had to build a set. He didn't have an office they could film a boardroom in. He didn't have a boardroom. The whole place was like a dump. So they had to create the entire boardroom. It was all fake. Most of the stuff they ever showed that was the office was a set that they had to build, because the actual office was a freaking dumpster fire. So everything is you're right, and nothing could stop him. And this is a guy, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to go off here too, to your point about Pennsylvania. He has not forgiven Hillary Clinton for literally anything. He hasn't forgiven Barack Obama for what he claims is spying on him. And this guy holds a grudge like nobody's business, and he never, ever, not ever talks about the person who shot him. Not a bit. Nothing. Just where did the firefighter go? What happened to his family? Like what the fuck? It's just no bruising, scarring, no medical report. Just put a big old maxi pad on his ear and call it a fact.
Our media failed us tremendously on that. I swear, if I had been a reporter and had access to, a press briefing around him, I would ask him straight up, "What's up with your ear, man? How did it heal so quickly?" And you know what? If that was the last thing I ever got to say to Trump, so be it. But I would have taken one for the team, because seriously, bro, you're 78 years old. You mean to tell us that you have
miracle ear?
You've created your ear should be in medical books as a freaking miracle, and nobody's talking about it. Nobody. It's insane. It's insane to me.
I've never actually fired an M16, believe it or not, with fake bullets or whatever they're called, because I used to go to Armed Forces Day at the arsenal where my dad worked, and they would let you pretend, like that you were, but I can guess that a bullet that liquefies flesh, we had a clear shot, it wasn't that far away, that even if it grazes your ear, it probably takes off a bit of it, and as it's got to be a sound associated with the contact of your ear, but no, nothing. I mean, nothing. And we're not allowed to talk about it, because if we talk about it, then we're conspiracy theorists, and we're promoting violence. But
also those so-called Secret Service people letting him stand up and expose himself to a potential second shooter after only 20 seconds had passed. Are you kidding me? I remember, I'm old enough to remember when they tried to take out Ronald Reagan, and when a shot rang out, and you didn't see Reagan again, those dudes were all over him and shoved his ass into the limo, and that was it.
You don't stand up. And they said shoot her down. They thought they had already declared that there was only one shooter. How the fuck would they have even known that? Like, this is so. Right. And we're not. They were counting, rightfully, on us not challenging this, because then we would look like terrible people. Because if you remember, in the immediate wake of it, anybody who said that looked staged was immediately admonished by the masses. Like, how could you? This is figures and politics, clutching pearls. Like, you know who we're talking about here, right, friends? This is the locker up guy who has, threatened violence, who incited a literal insurrection, an actual violent insurrection. No, they erected a pop-up gallows with his VP's name on it, but we're not allowed to say, that looks fake. Like, what? They look weird. And no, because how dare you? So it's absolute and utter madness. And I can't believe we're here. And we talked about, the name of the podcast is Sanish. Because it's pretty fucking hard to actually be walking around this world right now, like, just sane, because it all feels like it's insane. So you were saying that you watched The Office, and I love The Office. The parkour episode is probably my favorite of all time. That's one thing you said you're doing to sort of help you feel sane adjacent, as I say, sane sprinkled, infused. What else, my friend? Are there other things? I mean, you're a family man or dad, I know those things about you.
Yeah, I spend plenty of time with my daughter, who I'm extremely proud of, by the way. She's working part-time at Dunkin' Donuts, right?
I love Donuts.
She is she's also volunteering at a hospital working with cancer patients. And this summer, she's also doing summer school. So she's taking college courses so that she can get credits. Like, I don't know about you, but when I was in school and June 24th hit or whatever, I'm not trying to hear nothing about schoolwork until September. But yeah, she's an achiever. She'll be a senior next year in high school.
Wow.
Yeah. Aside from that, I like to listen to music. I go outside literally and touch grass and sit in the middle of my my yard, my garden or whatever, and just enjoy the birds. It's strange. Like, the older I get, the more I appreciate things like birds and sunsets and
It's all the Cialis ad. It's
but yeah, just
I'm not mocking your joy. I'm trying not to.
Yeah, no, just little things like that. Just unplugging. And especially, I know that I'm missing a lot on the weekends when stuff is jumping off, but I just, I check in every now and then, every 3 or 4 hours, just to see what am I missing. But for the most part, weekends, unplug. That is family time. That is, that's just recharge the battery so that you can go back at it, Monday through Friday, full force, and do what you got to do.
Yeah, you got to put that mask on yourself first, as they say on airplanes, right? You got to put your own mask on so that you can help others, and recharging and unplugging, and I get it, and we're very opposite. We're very
and you and I both receive an inordinate amount of abuse, online, so that's another thing that I've so what I've done is I've muted most of the like preemptively muted a lot of jackasses and blocked a lot of jackasses, and when the new ones pop up, whatever, it's depending on how I feel, I'm blocking you or I'm muting you. Maybe occasionally I'll flame you out or whatever. But I don't let myself get caught up in that, because eventually it does, like if you absorb enough of that, it does weigh you down a bit. And
oh yeah, I like to punch a few in the nose every now and then. I like to pop them in the nose. Like Bill Mitchell said to me, "Are you ever right about anything today?" And I said, "Well, at least every time I've called you an asshole." I think we can all agree on right every time on that. But I don't like, I dump one or two a day. But birds, Majid, I'm a bird freak. I'm a total bird freak. I can watch my bird feeders all day long. Cardinals are my favorite. Absolutely favorite. I know their songs. So they call, there's a cardinal. Because I can hear them. And I could see myself like retiring or whatever, or like settling into my age and watching birds all day long. Like that's scary, but I totally get it. It's it takes you out to a place that's more beautiful and natural and basic, and I think that's important. But we could geek out on birds all day long.
Writing, I've been doing my Substack every week. And aside from that, I am working on an autobiography.
Oh, that's news. I didn't know. I heard it here first. Congrats.
Actually, this is my first talking about it publicly, but yeah, I feel like I've been through some shit. Been through some shit, and if my experiences can help somebody else, like it's the reason why a lot of the trolls come at me, with nasty stuff. It's because I have been open about my my past and my history with drug abuse and stuff like that. And that's in the, before I started my what will be 22 year journey on the road to sobriety. Before I started that, like, I was hopeless. I literally, I didn't see any reason to try one more time, because I had relapsed so many times, 5, 6, 7 times. And I was like, what is even the point? What is the point of trying one more time to get clean if I'm just going to fail again, And then I was in was it a detox? Yeah, I was in a detox. And they used to have people come in from NA and AA, and they would tell their stories. And because I was there, I was, compelled to attend. And I heard somebody tell my story. I was like, oh shit. And the guy, I think he might have had 15 years clean or something. I was like, oh, maybe there is hope. And with this sort of thing, you have to take it day, one day at a time, today. So you would say, just for today, if I can make it to the end of the day without using a drink or a drug, then we'll see what happens tomorrow, and that's my philosophy for life in general. Like this this insane Trump stuff, really, you can't let it overwhelm you. You just deal with what you have in front of you just today. That's it.
Well, you and I have had this conversation before, and I think your story is incredibly important and valuable, because this is very personal for me. I lost my brother and my mother to addiction, and I'm not gonna ugly cry, but seeing a success story like yours, it needs to be told, because if it can save someone else's brother, someone else's mother, somebody else like you, it needs to be told, and it's worth being told, even if it can help one person out there. So there's the ugly cry.
Let it out, Joe. Let it out.
Well, thank you for doing that. And you're right. You're so right. And I do know, coming out of adversity in my own life, which is not addiction, but lots of other things, domestic abuse, etc. You just have to take each day as it comes, put one foot in front of the other. I actually picture it as a staircase that every day I'm building a new step or working on the same step so that it's strong enough and sound enough and firm enough for me to start moving on to the next step, so that I always have that staircase behind me and I keep moving up. But I want to make sure that I focus on each step as it comes at a time. I don't see the whole staircase yet because I haven't built it, so that it doesn't seem overwhelming.
I gotta say, I'm very proud of the staircase you've been building. It's amazing, and I've been watching you build it, steadily, one step at a time every day, and it's tremendous now. It's tremendous, and kudos to you for keeping going and letting the fire in your belly be that energy that propels you forward.
Well, that is very nice of you to say. And as always, an amazing conversation with my friend and partner in so much of what we're doing out there and trying to accomplish in this world. So let's leave it with, where can people find you, support you, read you? When should they be looking for this autobiography?
Oh, I don't know. Be perfectly, yeah, I don't know, because it's, there's some days that I can only write a page. There's some days that I can write like 10 or 20 pages.
Yeah.
So maybe the next year or so.
Okay. But you're on Substack.
Yeah. So I'm on Substack, is Defiant Dispatches. That's the name of my little column or whatever. And I also have two books under my belt. One was The Littlest President and The Bigliest Loser, which, funny story, you know this already. I wrote that in anticipation of Kamala Harris winning the whole damn thing. And so I had written that into the book. That's how the book ended. So, I mean, it is probably, I am so proud of it because the visuals are hilarious. It's a great book, but I couldn't bring myself to sell it, after the election, or to promote it, because it's like people were still like really, really sore about, how that whole thing went down.
Yeah. Agreed.
So,
but they're great. They are great. Both your books are great, and your newest venture will be amazing too. And everybody should go look at your Substack, subscribe, follow. He's all over social media and absolutely crushing it as always. And people are flooding back to Twitter, which is fine by me. Is it marketing? Oh my gosh, yeah. People, it was weird. They were all coming back like zombies, like from some apocalypse, where it was like, as soon as the Elon tryst fight started, they were like, "Oh, I see it gonna," and it's the flooding back. Yeah, like they're like, "Oh, I'm done being in the Playboy Mansion grotto over here in blue sky. Like, I'm done. I'm getting the skin slip. Let me go and, interact with some of the assholes on Twitter." Then, yeah, I never left. You never left. Yeah.
It's funny, considering that that whole thing between Elon and Trump is all kabuki theater.
Oh,
it's not, it can't be. I mean, if that dude, Elon, has so much information between you and me and the four walls here. He's got so much information. If he wanted to take him down, he could take him down easy. You know what I mean?
But a millisecond. Forget about it. Bada bing, bada boom.
I think it's bull. I think he's trying to repair his Tesla brand, right? I think his shareholders are pissed off that he's jumped into bed with Trump and made the Tesla very unappealing to people with a working brain stem.
Yeah, we flip them off in my family whenever we see them. No offense to the good Tesla drivers. If you're still out there, I'm sorry in advance, but you're getting a finger. Yep, that's just how it's going.
Yes.
I don't. Kabuki, it's all kabuki theater, except that it's fucking terrible and dangerous, and our lives are getting ruined by it. People are getting hurt, and that we don't want. So that's why we speak up and stand up and fight. And with that, I'm going to wrap, because something that keeps me sane-ish is my therapist, who I will be going to after we are done here. I don't know that I help her with her sanity by dumping all my shit, but I cannot vouch for therapy enough. She changed my life. She helped me change my life when I was at my lowest point a few years ago and everything was just gray. And I thought, you know what? I don't really need to be here. I'm not benefiting anybody in any way. I had a moment where I was like, well, I'll give therapy one shot, one chance. And I met my therapist, who I have now, and it saved my life. So I highly, highly, highly vouch for all sort of mental wellness and mental health wellness. And
I second that. I think that was one of the main things that made a difference out of all of my different relapses. The only thing I had not tried was therapy. Yeah. So, and by the way, you did kind of just have a mini therapy session right here today.
Yeah, we did. And I'll tell you what, I think that's hopefully what other people feel too. Because what I get from you is that I feel less crazy because I feel seen in the crazy. And what hopefully other people watching and listening to this podcast will take away from our conversation is that they also feel seen. And when you feel seen, when someone says, I'm there too, I see you, you don't feel alone. And when you're not alone, you're not disconnected and disheartened, and you feel a part of something bigger. And that's what they want to break. They want us to feel divided. They want us to feel isolated and alone. And when we have conversations that connect us, because we have a lot more in common than we don't, that's when we actually make the most progress on every level, mental health wise and democracy wise. So yeah, this conversation helped me on both of those and helps everybody. Thank you so much, Brooklyn. I love you. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. This was it's always amazing spending time with you, and I'm congratulations on Sanish. This is a wonderful show. I love it so much.
Thank you very much. Make sure you rate it and like it and subscribe to it. All the things, pressing all the buttons. Thank you no, seriously. Thank you. Yeah, but it's a little engine that could. So appreciate you more than you know. I want to thank Majid for being here today. If there's one thing I hope listeners take away, it's this. The fight isn't just about outrage. It's about refusing to let the monsters win by making us silent, scared, or humorless. So keep laughing. Keep calling it out. And for the love of every immigrant child Stephen Miller has tried to vanish, don't look away. Not for a single goddamn second. Thanks for listening to Sanish. If you liked what you heard, subscribe, share, and stay loud. And don't forget to follow me on Substack and YouTube for more ways to stay sane-ish together. Until next time, stay strong, keep laughing, and take care of each other.